Well, hello, Tim Arkell from the Darwin Institute, Australia. Welcome to WWDOGA, Tim.
Thank you, Michael, very muchly. I enjoyed the Foreskin Revolution presentation. You guys are doing a great job, yep. And it's good to see that we're having an impact social media-wise. It's sometimes very difficult to get this message out. And it's good to see that you're having great impact with TikTok.
And we're very excited to introduce yourself and the Darwin Institute, which is also bringing success to Australia and New Zealand. And I was thinking perhaps the best starting point, you're a family practice lawyer and a human rights lawyer, and it might be great for the audience to hear a little bit about you.
Sure. Look, I practice primarily in family law here in Australia, and in respect of children's human rights as well. Something very passionate and dear to my heart. Look, it was, I guess the starting point was seeing the SBS, The Feed. Here in Australia, SBS is a multicultural, free-to-air television network, and there is a program on there, or I guess The Feed's still on, is it, Michael?
It is.
Yeah. So they did a program last year, the year before, which featured Max Roberts from Intact Australia. A lot of you will know Max. And also yourself from Foreskin Revolution, and it was a really good, about a 20-25 minute little documentary on foreskin positivity here in Australia. And it wasn't long after that that I was recommended to have a look at Brendan Marotta's American Circumcision documentary. And it was the listening to the late Jonathan Conte, actually, and the emotion in Jonathan's voice in that movie, and the effects that it had on him personally as a victim of routine infant circumcision. And unfortunately, Jonathan's no longer with us. But, his words had a profound impact upon me, and it wasn't long after watching those two things that I contacted Max and Max Roberts, and Max and I had a long conversation over the telephone, and he suggested that following, a lot of you will know the late Paul Mason, who was an Australian barrister and family human rights and family lawyer here at in Brisbane, actually practicing in Brisbane. I live in Queensland on the east coast of Australia, and Paul, when he finished his appointment as the Children's Commissioner to Tasmania, he came back to Queensland and he formed the organisation that was the predecessor of the Darwin Institute, called the Australasian Institute for Genital Autonomy. And Paul's been a worldwide leader and source of great information, and was a great loss to the movement when Paul suddenly died. And it was Max that suggested that the Darwin Institute could have the input of another lawyer with some passion and some understanding. And it wasn't long after that I had a number of conversations. I had a chat with Damien Williams, who you all just met before. Damien's the techno mastermind behind all those wonderful TikTok creations of yours, Michael, and lovely family guy from Sydney. And I had a chat with James Wright, who's our treasurer, and you know, all good-hearted family men, and just wanting to make a difference in the lives of children. And I think that's why we all come together, is that we just want to see a difference in the lives of children.
and that was AGA at that stage, the Australasian Institute of Genital Autonomy. And I'm really impressed by the rebranding that has happened recently. And I'm really curious. So you've gone from AGA to the Darban Institute. I think it's a really clever rebrand. And I'm curious as to the strategic thinking behind it.
Yeah, look, I think it was a process of, Paul started AGA, and on the first anniversary after the Cologne decision, and that's still a landmark case. I've done a lot of research, being a lawyer. I've done a lot of research into that case and the principles behind that case, and that's still good law today in Germany. It might have been overridden by the German Parliament, but it's certainly still good law. You'll see there's a short slide I've created. So it was following the appointment of a new chair to the organisation, Jonathan Meddings. And Michael, you know Jonathan well, and a number of you will know Jonathan Meddings from his involvement in the Intactivist movement worldwide. And Jonathan's a great leader and a great chairman with some good ideas. And together with his knowledge of strategic planning and moving organisations forward, we all bring together, there's 8 of us now on the board, and we all bring together a vast majority of skills. But the main idea behind rebranding was that the word genital, it evokes an emotional response in people. And that emotional response can either be a positive emotional response or a negative emotional response. And quite often it's the latter rather than the former. So it was thought that if we took the word of the emotional word out of the name, it would lend ourselves to the more professional advocacy work that we do. You guys are an artsy, out there, in your face kind of educational group. Foreskin Revolution, fantastic, and I love it. And I have some stickers on my car that have emotive responses to them. But when you're advocating at higher political levels, when you're trying to engage with the Human Rights Commissioner, the Children's Commissioner, when you're trying to advocate seriously in putting submissions together like we did with the Paediatric Surgery Review Task Force in late 2018, you need to have, we felt we needed a more professional name. And to take the emotive words out of the name. So we did, because we felt it just sort of detracted from the overall mission, which is to bring an end to genital cutting of all children, not just males, but females are still subjected to genital cutting in Australia. Currently, there's an action happening in Western Australia, which I'm keeping my eye on. And there was another case in New South Wales which sort of didn't go very far. Look, we know that generally what happens is when travel was permitted in this country before the current COVID crisis, parents just put their children overseas. So we know it happens, regardless of whether it's illegal in this country. So we have a new strategic plan. Under the guidance of Jonathan, we decided to rebrand to the name of the Darban Institute, giving homage to the late Paul Mason and the late Robert Darby, who was a very generous benefactor. He left us a reasonable sum in his will to continue the work of AGA. So we rebranded to the Darban Institute. We felt that Darban was a better combination rather than the other one, which might have been the Maybe Institute. And we didn't think the Maybe Institute was such a good with such a good ringtone to it, so we picked the Darwin Institute. And look, we've achieved quite a lot in the 12 months. We've put together. You can go online and have a look at the Darwin Institute's new website and its functionality. You can have a look at the new strategic plan that we've put in place. We've appointed 4 eminent experts in their respective fields to the expert advisory board to advise us on complicated advocacy matters. We've taken the organisation from an incorporated association which may have been liable to a hostile takeover from the pro-cert lobby by being able to stack its voting. And we've created a company limited by guarantee where only a certain number of the board come up for renewal each year. So we've done our very best to protect the integrity of the organisation and its work going forward from a hostile takeover manoeuvre. So currently we're seeking registration as a non-profit charitable organisation, and Jonathan and I have been instrumental in the last couple of months of working on a very complex and strategic document regarding lobbying Medicare, which is still still funding illegally cosmetic circumcision procedures in Australia. And it's time it was held to account, because it's clearly a fraud against the Australian taxpayer. There's no two ways about it. It's not permitted by the legislation that created Medicare. Yet they turned a blind eye to it and still fund the procedure.
Some fantastic initiatives you've outlined there, and the rebranding as well. The logo looks fantastic. It's really exciting news. We're really looking forward to the Darwin Institute going forward and what you guys will produce, especially this position statement on Medicare, and trying to resolve the illicit funding, that the abuse of the Medicare system that is happening in Australia, illicitly funding circumcision, non-medical circumcision. So a fantastic introduction, Tim. Thanks. Thank you so much today for explaining all of this about Darwin. Any final comments as we farewell the DOGA?
Look, I'd just like to say thank you, Victor, for and your team for putting this wonderful day together. It's an enormous undertaking that you do. As part of the worldwide advocacy organisations, the Darwin Institute, I'd like to thank you for making the day possible, that we can learn what's happening around the rest of the world. And know that we are making a positive difference in the lives of children around the globe.
The more we create platforms for international discussion, we create platforms for international and intercultural understanding. And I think this is one of the most important things, to break a taboo with a positive impulse, that we learn from each other, and that we don't let us being separated by others who speak of our behalves, but it's not theirs, it's ours. It's the children's behalf, and I think it's nothing more worth we could do worldwide to stand together for those who cannot speak for themselves. Thank you very much to Australia.
Well put, Victor.
And see you soon again.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you all. Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.